So we have this leaflet, and it's more about how to go vegan and then why to go vegan. So the first part is just how to go vegan. Like, where do I get my protein? Where do I get my calcium? What about B12? And then the second half is about saving animals, saving the environment. And we had John and Marla from Vegan Street design it. And they came up with this really neat idea, save, in red. So it looks like, already looks like some sort of ad, but a very interesting junk ad. And it has 9 boxes, and I think it's really representative of who we are. Because when we, as vegans, as animal rights people, we're about saving so much, and all these things are on our side. Like, the truth is on our side, whether it's like save the animals. So the first picture is of a pig at a sanctuary at the pig preserve carrying off a bowl. And that's on our iVegan website. That's the big picture that we have, is this pig that likes to eat on her own, and she carries a bowl off. So save the animals, save the ocean, save habitats and species, save our water, save the Earth's climate. So it's related to our climate change campaign in the subway. And we reprinted that poster. Save the world's hungry. Save your heart, save money, because there's going to be vegan coupons in here. So if you flip through the middle, and then the last part is save your conscience box. And I thought we should leave that last because it's sort of the most important one. We want to get people at a deep level. Like, we all, we are vegan for that reason. Like, that's the ultimate reason. On the second last page, we have like resources, and we have directory to, vegetarian restaurants. And then there's books and podcasts, and there's a shout out to Vegan Gains. And it says, as Alex pointed out, it says youth-oriented, and visit local sanctuaries. So it's all good stuff. And then at the back, it's like a checkbox of like, I'm willing to use these coupons. I'm willing to do the veggie challenge.
Veganism, obviously, and this message, I think it's, I don't need to ask who's passionate about that. The reason why we're here on a holiday is because we are, right? So I think that part is taken care of. I think that's easy for us. Now the question is, how do we transfer that feeling effectively to the people that we're connecting with, whether it's door to door or on the street, or the people that we talk to, our friends, our family, our coworkers sometimes that are interested as to why we're not, eating a hamburger with them. So what's the best way of doing that? What's the best way of transferring that feeling to somebody else? Opening, building rapport, that is the first step. And how would you do that? It's really important to listen and not pre-plan what you're going to say. When you do that, once you build that rapport, it doesn't have to take a long time. Has anybody ever heard of this concept, the three V's with regard to communication? So visual is one way that you are perceiving what I'm communicating. Vocal. Verbal, yeah. What's the difference between vocal and verbal?
Well, verbal would be the words you're saying, but vocal would be how you're saying them.
Precisely. Okay, so those are the 3 ways that you are perceiving what I'm saying. You can see me, you can hear me, and then of course the actual words that you are processing in your head, right, that I'm actually saying. What percentages do you think, if you had to go out of 100%, impact and influence the message that I'm delivering to you? I'll try and give you an example right now. And again, it's on the impact of the message that I'm delivering, right? Of how important it is, that eye contact, that smile, your body language, your posture, how, even physically, like how close you stay to someone or how far away you do, can have a huge impact on people. So if we're not selling anything, that's the beauty of what we're doing. We actually are going to have gifts to give people. We're giving them a free cookie, so if they open the door, we have something to give them. We're giving them coupons. There's a lot of value coming in that, so we can be confident in that. We're not pushing anything on people that they don't need, that they don't want. And if they feel that way, that's cool, Still, friendly smile, hey, I hope you take it, I hope you use it. And if they really don't want to engage, that's fine. Like, we don't need to push them. You will have people, of course, that will want to engage and will want to talk. The best salespeople will never make you feel like they're pushing something on you that you don't want. What they manage to do is they manage to understand what it is that you want, or something that's important to you, your needs, your deep needs, and then match what it is that you have. Different types of questions that you can ask. Close-ended, open-ended, and investigative questions. Close-ended questions begin with which words? What would give you basically a one-word answer? Would is a word that starts a close-ended question. Do is the most commonly used question that people revert to, and it doesn't give you any good information. Good salespeople, I wouldn't say remove these from their vocabulary. They remove it at this stage. These are good closing questions when you're actually gone through the whole sales process and now you need a decision from a buyer. You start asking those closing questions. But to investigate, what are open-ended questions? So what? How? Where? When? Who? Who will give you that? Who would give you a very short, posse answer? These questions are good, but they're not the best types of questions. We're gonna get to these questions.
Why?
Why is an interesting question. Why is definitely an open-ended question, and it is also a question that we try never to use in sales. Yeah, it can make you defensive, and it's just that word. It's kind of like questioning your motives, or why did you do that? You know, it's that word has like a certain little weird feeling. So you can ask why questions, but you can just start them with like a what, so or a how. You know, so if I want to say, hey, why did you decide that? I can ask you, how did you come to that decision? Same type of answer, it just changes the question around. So investigative questions are the golden questions. Number one is be an ambassador for veganism in a really positive light, right? That term, that for some reason, it's developed this kind of negative connotation over time. And two is really deliver all these amazing resources. You know, you'll meet people at different stages in their readiness to accept this message, I think. So just, if you move that person one notch towards that, regardless of where they are in their readiness, I guess, I think that's a success.
So we're ambassadors to promote a compassionate lifestyle through being a vegan. Are we showing them that we're just like them, that you don't have to be different to be like this? We're just like you,
yeah,
right?
And we
would like you to try this lifestyle.
We're not selling a product and we're not getting commission from, you know, converting people. I don't think we should go into it saying for every person we have to achieve this very specific goal. I think it's what they're ready to do. So the way that we find that out is getting into this question asking. I think it's really important that when we're at that door, we aren't just preaching to them. We aren't just telling them all that we know about veganism, because it's easy to be like, hey, there's all this cool stuff. We know we can save water, we can save animals, we can save the planet. Like it's that message will fall on deaf ears if we don't manage to do this well. If we don't manage to actually figure out what do they care about, what's important to them in their lives, and then link it.
So on the back page is the answer to your question as well. So our goal has always been to get people to think about going vegan, and to also become activists, to get involved. And so that's why we have a checklist at the back. So our group has never been just about converting people to vegan. It's much more than that. We want people to be involved, to join this community, to do more. It's meaning in life. It's very deep. So on the cover, it's like, you know, your conscience. That's what we're really after.
Yeah.
We're going to have a Facebook page just for this campaign where they can join the community and ask questions. So that's actually should be a really, you know, important part. Like, we don't know what we'll call it yet, like Save Toronto or something, or something like that, where that they can join a community, because we don't want them to be alone and try vegan and then stop. We want them to know there's a community, and we're there to help help them.
When we get to the door to raise curiosity, would it be fair to say, hey, do you know that there is a safe movement going on? We are here to share some information with you. Perhaps you can join in as well. Just to tie back to your point that sometimes don't we wish that someone had come to us and shared that kind of information with us early on? It's just a thought.
Yeah, and we find they're somewhat interested and go, hey, you could join our march. It's going to be like 1,000 people. Join, you know, that kind of thing. Definitely, this is part of it, because we have always been about activism as well and involvement.
And part of what we're selling is this future that we see very clearly in our minds that everybody else is completely oblivious to. And this is, maybe we're going to meet people that have never met vegans before, but after that, they've met a vegan. They know that we exist. We're not unicorns.
But before we go into the role play, here are some questions that are not actually questions. They don't actually like end in a question mark. They're more statements. But these are my favorite types of questions to ask when I'm really trying to understand people's motivations or their needs. This is one of the most simple questions. It's beautiful. Tell me about that. Tell me about, you know, whatever topic you're on. So if they say, hey, you know what? The environment. I really saving the environment is really important to me. Really, tell me about that. it's such a simple, and so that question, if nothing else, if you remember to tell me more about that. Tell me about that. It's really cool. Tell me about that. People like, oh, I'm allowed to tell you? Great, let me tell you, right? And if you can get someone talking about anything that they're passionate about, boom, like, especially, it helps a lot. So tell me, describe it to me. Hey, describe that to me. It'll give you deeper information if they bring something up.
Another way to say, describe that to me, what would it look like if da 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 da? Yeah.
I love the hypotheticals, yeah. Any sort of hypothetical situations I love them because it gets people thinking like, oh, like, what if you could do this? What would that look like to you? Or how would that feel? Or like, yeah. So,
I'm already ready for you.
yeah, I'll ring your doorbell. Bing bong.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you today?
Good.
Good.
How can I help you?
Nothing serious. We're not selling anything in the neighborhood. I'm actually here. My name's Alex. I'm here. We're just giving away a few little gifts in your neighborhood today.
Oh, what did I do to deserve that? Well, by the way, I haven't had any visitor for 10 years. Come on in for it. She's super nice.
That's awesome.
You always be friendly anyways.
Hey. Actually, don't be surprised if people do invite you into their homes. I've been invited, as a salesperson, I've been invited into people's homes. I've sat down at their,
I guess it's a man.
there are,
Feel free to go.
there's a whole spectrum of, the people you'll meet. You'll meet super friendly and not so friendly. So this is super friendly. And obviously be careful. You don't have to go into people's homes. But I would say, so we're just delivering a few things. This is a vegan cookie. It's from Sweets from the Earth.
Ooh.
Dairy-free, egg-free.
It goes well with my coffee.
Question for you. Have you ever had a vegan cookie before?
No, never heard of it.
No? Have you ever been to a vegan restaurant?
No, this is something I would never try.
Okay, we'll tell you what. To make it really easy for you, there's actually, on Bloor Street, have you seen Bloomers? The restaurant there?
I saw it, but I would never go in.
You wouldn't? Okay. What if they gave you some free food?
Okay, I guess I'll think about that.
So in this booklet here, there's actually some coupons from some restaurants in your area and actually throughout the city. They've actually volunteered to give out free food. It's not a catch. There's no scam or anything like that. You literally go with these coupons, you give it to them, and they will give you free food.
Okay, I'll twist
How does that
my
sound?
elbow and go in there.
Yeah, great. And just out of curiosity, we're promoting a plant-based message, right? So eating healthy and saving the environment and that sort of stuff. Are either of those really important to you?
No, I go to a grocery store and buy whatever I'm used to, pretty much like drumstick, chicken wings, and all these things. We need meat,
Well, you look like you're in shape. You look like
well, because I eat meat.
But you try to eat healthy, right?
Well, meat is healthy.
That's what's interesting. So that's an objection. I don't want to get to objection handling without talking about that, but I would objection handle that one. So go back. Do you try to eat healthy?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And what have you heard about plant-based diets?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Okay, so this is a really cool. That's actually in addition to the coupons, there's some really good resources in there, websites, documentaries. Personally, I've been so I used to eat meat and eggs and dairy my whole life. For the past 4 years, I haven't been eating any of those, and I'm an athlete, so I cycle a lot. And my athletic performance has gone way up, and there's a lot of actually vegan athletes that people are switching to that. So I just wanted to share that, have some really useful information and resources in there.
But don't you think you can gain a few pounds? Maybe you need to eat meat.
Push-up competition. Let's go. What we're gonna do is, Debbie, I know you wanted to share some information. Maybe have you talk a little bit, and maybe we can end with objection handling, and I'll actually go through the 7 steps. I'm gonna hand these out to you guys, and I really want to role play this because all the stuff of being friendly. I know we're all really friendly people. A lot of us have experience already engaging people in the street or strangers. So a lot of us are comfortable with that. This is the toughest part is when somebody says, "Yeah, I'm really healthy because I eat meat." As soon as they get a little bit kind of confrontational, or yeah, you could probably gain a few pounds. Our instinct is to respond. Well, you can be healthy without eating meat, and just telling them things as opposed to following the steps. So I'll leave that as a little bit of a teaser. We're going to learn how to best objection handle, and I'll let you take over for now.
I just want to share a couple of things that I learned and I found very, very useful in my dealing with objections when I go on the street to do outreach. When I was in the corporate world, when I went to do presentations or went to client meetings, I always anticipated questions, which is exactly what we're doing now. And one thing I learned very well is that when I heard questions that I did not like from clients, and first I could not dismiss their concerns. And one way to do that is the 3 F's: feel, felt, found. I found it extremely useful. The way I do it is that when I heard a question which I find objectionable, I would say, I know how you feel. I felt exactly the same way. What I subsequently found was, I find it extremely useful. It worked very well with me when I dealt with professors now who are just totally ignorant of plant-based nutrition. And when I get on the street to do outreach, when I work with Pia, Agnes, and many others on the street, I heard so many kind of stupid questions. But of course, we cannot say one stupid question. I cannot dismiss those concerns. Some people would say halal killing is so simple, so humane. Oh, I know how you feel. I felt exactly the same way until someone told me, then I subsequently found out, That way, they take the guard off. I find it extremely useful, the 3 F's.
Great.
The last thing I found, I think I should share with you, is the personalizing my own experience. They cannot criticize me for how I feel. They cannot criticize my experience. So when I heard people say, oh, I love people, I cannot say, well, if you love people, why don't you just go plant-based? What I would say is, I used to feel the same way. So I sponsored a child from the third world. I gave them $20 every month. Then someone told me, when I did that, using one hand handing out $20, I used another hand to grab away the precious grains and crops away from them, causing them to starve. And do you know, I subsequently found out that 6 million children die of starvation every single year. So again, I use my own experience to tell them these things that I would like them to know. They could not criticize me for saying these things because I'm just saying it from my own experience. So these are the 2 things I feel very useful. I find very useful when I go on the street to do outreach.
Let's suppose that you had a really good conversation with a neighbor, right? So you're at this house, you have a really good conversation. Let's say they turn around and like, hey, yeah, this is cool, I'm going to try it. And obviously you've introduced yourself and remember their name. You know that the person you spoke to is Bob. So when you go to their neighbor and you're talking to them, say, hey, I was just talking to Bob. You know, he felt the same exact way. He told me the exact same things. And then what he found was this, you know, if you can share some relevant experience with other people that are similar to them, neighbors that they obviously trust, it helps them absorb that message. There's 2 ways, your own experience and then other people that they can relate to that are similar to them as well.
When I go on the street, when I see people wear fur, walking a dog, I never had someone come up to me and say, I used to go to the Humane Society to volunteer as a dog walker. No one ever came up to me and asked me why I was wearing fur while walking dogs, because I never wore fur and walking dog at the same time. But I use that as a story in a personalized way to tell people as they walk dog and wear fur. And I go up to people wearing fur and walking dog, and I say, hey, I love your dog. I used to do a lot of this walking dog at the Humane Society. And someone came up to me one day and asked me why I was wearing fur while walking a dog. That's the way I kind of personalize the story so that they cannot attack me for confronting them.
I've listened, and the most important part is you don't cut people off. Sometimes you'll hear a lot of the same types of, we hear it all the time, right? The same type of things. Let somebody give their objection. If they start rambling and talking about whatever it is, don't interrupt them. Let them talk, really listen, and then acknowledge that thing. So it's kind of almost like you can use the feeling thing to acknowledge that, hey, you know what? Yeah, I hear you. So, I hear that, a lot of people believe that, eating meat is necessary for health, right? It's all throughout, I learned that as a kid, right? You had the 4 food groups. Absolutely, I get that, right? Empathize. So that's part of the empathy, right? Yeah, I get that. I understand that. Actually, my whole family thinks that. Like my parents taught me that when I was a kid, right? Your neighbor Bob told me the exact same thing. Everybody I talk to tells me the same thing. Now I want to get into this. I want to get into asking questions to really understand. If I want to like try and kind of get over or past that objection, I have to understand where that why that belief is in is in here, right? So I would ask the simple question, I would say that, hey, we all learned that as we were kids, what makes you, what's taught you throughout your life that it's necessary to have meat, or that meat is healthy for you?
Well, parents. My mother taught me how to cook, and don't you think everyone eats meat? And don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I'd say 90 and 95% of the population eat pretty regularly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still want to ask more questions. So I say, help me out, guys. What types of questions can we ask to find out, really, because that's such a deep-seated belief.
What is it
Look
about
at the-
meat that is so nutritional?
That's a great question.
We can say, look at the Indian population. It's over 1 billion people, and a large proportion of that population actually abstain from eating meat. That doesn't mean the majority of that population is sick, but it goes to Katie's question: what's in meat that you feel that we have?
Mm-hmm.
We have to have in order to make us feel healthy. And maybe at that point we can bring up, usually when people think about meat, we think about proteins. So when we think about proteins, we think about iron. But in fact, there are so many plant-based source proteins and irons that we normally don't think about. It's the cultural thinking that has us programmed in a way that we feel that we have to have animal products. Then
So
we can throw in a lot
if you
of
said that to me, right? If you said, yeah, what's healthy about meat? Well, protein and iron, going down these steps, I've asked the question, she's responded to it. I want to reiterate again, I want to make sure that she understands that I've listened, that I've understood what you said. But yeah, protein and iron, those are actually two things that are definitely found in meat, Now I want to present my response, right? So I understand, this is a pretty easy one, but I understand why she believes that meat is healthy. It's been taught to us through, doctors and nutritionists and all that stuff. And she's also aware it contains meat, protein and iron in it.
Oh, but my doctor told me to eat meat.
Yeah, my doctor tells me to eat meat all the time too.
Yeah.
That's what they're taught, Did you know, so this is my solution, right? And you said it perfectly. Did you know that some of the healthiest people on the planet, some of the healthiest communities, don't eat meat?
Oh, I did not know
Really?
that.
Yeah. It's actually pretty crazy when you actually look at medical studies and stuff like that. They find that people that eat less meat actually have less chronic disease, less heart disease, less cancer, less all these different things. So it's really interesting. And I'm not an expert in nutrition at all. I just found a lot of resources like the ones that you have there, and make your own decision by all means. Take a look at this stuff. It's really, really interesting to hear the counter argument to what we're taught since we were kids. That this is what you have to eat. This is how you have to be. It's really interesting. And I've been haven't eaten any animal products for 4 years. My life performance is really, really great, and you can talk about the things that are really positive in your life because of that and how they've changed. And then you mentioned this actually earlier. I forget if it was Jenny or Anita, but we also want to make sure that people see us as normal, right? We're not, and we are. We're all normal people.
I think at that point we need to throw in some science. Science has been telling us that the way we eat is destroying the planet. So it won't be coming from me or him. I think at that point, to counter that question, we probably need to refer to science.
And you can refer
Back
to
to
the
the
booklet
booklet.
again, because we talked, Dr. James Hansen is the leading climate scientist, and he says going veg is the most important thing you can do on an individual level. It's right in the booklet. That you have this amazing handbook, and in these conversations always come back to it. So Alex talked about all these studies. That's in Forks Over Knives, and Forks Over Knives appears several times in the leaflet. And we have a really good page on health. One page is on the health benefits. And then we have, the first few pages are, where do I get my protein? And then they're memes, they're beautiful pictures. And then you can just say, hey, did you know that you can get this much protein, more protein from this than a pound of beef? Or and where do you get my calories? So what I'm trying to emphasize is always try to refer to the handbook, because one of the takeaways from your visit to the door, and Joy asked why are we doing this, is that we want them to look at this incredible leaflet as a resource that they're actually going to read and use. So that's one of your jobs, is to, during your conversation, is to refer to the booklet several times.
So the question is, how long could we or should we spend with people at the door? Obviously, if they're slamming their door in your face, not going to be too long. But you will get people, again, the whole spectrum. You'll get people that are really friendly and really talkative, and like you said, love talking to people. So if you do get into a good conversation, don't walk away from that, right? Have that good conversation. Realistically, you should be able to convey as much information as you really can in that moment, probably in about 10 minutes. Like anything more, really do everything you can not to get into any sort of confrontational. It doesn't do us any good. It doesn't do the movement any good. Even if they're being huge assholes, like let them be an asshole. Hey, keep smiling. You know, sometimes the best thing you can do when they close the door, they're like, oh man, I'm a real asshole. Right? That's the best thing you can do.
But I do like Len's approach. You asking questions and get them to think. I think that's a very, very good approach.
I don't think we should start with a cookie. I think we need to kind of build a rapport first, because otherwise, you know, you're so strange, you come in the door and all
Absolutely.
Are we going to be doing this in pairs?
Yes.
No, no, not necessarily. No,
Okay.
one,
Because I was
no.
wondering if you have a dynamic for two people going to the door.
I would, so what we did, like when I was doing the door-to-door stuff, is we go in it as a team. It's nice to have that moral support where, like, you know, one person could be working one side of the street, the other person the other side of the street, and you go individually. And if you, and then, so another good thing too is like when you're at the door, if you can see your partner across the street, you can also reference them. So like the homeowner can see it's not just you. It kind of helps, you know. Again, when they're more involved with their neighbors, you know, they see you talking to their neighbor across the street. That's awesome, right? So yeah, I see Joy's over there. You know, we're just kind of going through, giving us some good information, some free cookies and that sort of stuff. Introducing people. What are we doing? We're really trying to introduce this concept that's really hidden, right? Like this is not mainstream, right? So we're trying to introduce this to people. And you know, I'm taking a couple hours on my my day off, you know, to go around and just talk to people and deliver some free cookies and whatever. And people, I would. This is such an easier sell than actually selling alarm systems. So I think people will be a lot more receptive. And, you know, the problem you'll probably find is you probably will have a lot of good conversations with people, and then you'll have to try and manage those and cut them short. But again, what's the goal is refer them to that, get them to watch those documentaries. I think most of us, when you see those, you're just like, right?
on a satchel. You might want to kind of do it on the other side until you're comfortable with them.
I think like our approach for a group has always been like we're honest and truthful about who we are. So I'm not. It's not a problem.
No.
Like I don't think it's a
If
problem.
they can see our message through the window and they
I
don't
don't
want to
think
open the door,
I
you're
don't
okay.
like who's not going to open the door to somebody vegan. Plus we're going to have marriage.
More often than not, people, one way or another, will look to see who's at the door before they open it.
Yes.
So that presence that you're communicating, that smile, that has to start like even as you're walking up to the house, right? So that if they see you, that they want to open the door. Yeah.
And I think that's another reason not to go in pairs. Who comes around to the door in pairs? Jehovah's Witness,
Yes.
some other religious group.
Politicians.
And you see them walk, occasionally, but we're not an election campaign.
I will also say,
And they won't open the door. Most people.
the name tag idea, almost it makes you look, whether it's salesy or something like that. So I might personally not wear it, but again, you guys, I would say if we provide certain things, whether it's a hat or that, and you feel comfortable doing it, do it. If you don't. Like it's really most important that you feel comfortable with that.
Yes,
But
exactly.
I want to make it look like I'm almost like a neighbor or somebody they might, like.
Yeah.
I don't. That's why I don't want to look like a salesperson. Yeah.
Like the people who designed this leaflet, John and Marla at Beacon Street, said they did door to door in the 90s, and people would like cross the street to avoid them. And then they got a costume, like somebody wearing even a sandwich board, nothing too hot, heavy. And then people would cross the street and walk up to them. So we are buying some carrot costumes and other costumes. So if we have a crew, I would say of 5-6 people doing a neighborhood, we might have a carrot with you guys. And carrots some extra.
And if the carrot's visible, or like even if the carrot's that the person that goes up and helps, when someone looks at the door and sees a carrot standing on the doorstep, they're like, what's going on? Right? They'll open the door, and then the carrot can go and walk and help the other person get somebody else. Like they don't have to stay there alone, right? The carrot can,
If someone comes to my house wearing a costume, that will take away my concern about my security concern. Because that person is not going to jump on me and attack me, that kind of thing. So normally I don't open the door unless I feel safe to hand out leaflets. If someone comes in with that kind of costume, I'm fine. Open the door and have a chat.
After you've knocked, step back from the door, because if you're dressed up, maybe they're gonna think a cow is gonna come and attack me. So
There's a person in a
if you see them, hey, that's going on. Like make it look friendly, right? What I think would be really cool if we have, whether we have a Facebook group page or
Yeah,
something
we
for
will.
what we're doing,
Yeah.
is sharing like successes and what worked well. It's motivating.
And sometimes we're gonna encourage like a 4-hour, 5-hour thing on Sunday afternoon, and then encourage you guys to go like to dinner after that, so you can just talk to each other. Because it's like a vigil or a DXC event. Like it's very intensive, and it's really important to build community. And so we'd urge you to do that.
Just a note on the drivers in general. What would typically happen, let's say if I have 4 people in my car, we would drive to the neighborhood, let's say we'd have our resources in there, and then we would all split up, including the driver, go work an area, come back, restock what you have to do. If you're going to, move, then move the car to the next kind of area and then hit that area up. So that's generally how it would work. And anyone that has a car obviously can, wants to use it can
Right.
indicate that to us. Yeah.